Hey crochet friends, I'm Tiffany and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making this half double crochet, back loop only and front loop only beanie. This pattern is also just like my crochet pumpkin tutorial, so if you've already made those with me, this is the exact same steps. However, if you do not know that pattern, the link will be in the description, or you can just go on my channel. Now this tutorial is just the beanie, it is not the pom-pom. If you would like a tutorial on how to make pom-poms, the link to that will also be in the description. I use my fingers depending on the size of the pom-pom. So this beanie is for a teen/small adult, so it fits me. So the pom-pom size that I used, if you go to that tutorial, this is the medium size pom-pom with the densest 120 rounds. And then I just brushed it. So you can use any kind of brush. So I'm going to use medium weight size 4 yarn, a H 5mm crochet hook. A tape measure is also necessary to get the size that you're wanting. Have a pair of scissors, a darning needle to weave in your ends, and a stitch marker also helps. You don't have to, this is just optional. So just grab all of that and we will get started. Okay, so we are going to start by making a slip knot. This distance doesn't really matter as long as it's, maybe 4 inches. It doesn't have to be exact. And you're going to pinch the bottom with your thumb and pointer and pinch the top with your middle and ring finger. So make a heart with your thumb and pointer of your other hand. Go underneath this loop with your palm facing up. Turn your palm facing down, just your right hand, and then turn both your hands together. Grab this yarn, hold on to that, and then pull your hands apart, and the yarn will fall off and turn into your slip knot. Grab your crochet hook, go through the loop, and then you can go underneath the slip knot and push it towards your hook, or you can grab on these two and push it towards your hook. And then you just want a little bit of space. Now, the amount of chains depends on the size that you're making. Okay, so here is my chart. Now, the only numbers that you need to worry about for chaining is just these 2 rows. So whatever size that you're wanting, I'm going to do the newborn for the tutorial. So it says 5 inches because I like to do the hat that falls below the ear. You can totally choose this one. It doesn't matter, whatever your preference is. Now add 1 inch to whatever number you're wanting. So whatever size, add 1 inch to all of them. Because when you seam up the top of your beanie, you're going to lose a little bit of the height. So I prefer to go 1 inch taller than the final size, and then it should take you back to the true number. So if I were to chain up to 9 inches for this hat, it should measure 8 inches now that it's seamed up and finished. So just pick whatever size, pick whatever column, and then add 1 inch to that, and then that's what we're going to chain up to. And then let's start chaining. So if you don't know how to chain, go counterclockwise, wrap the yarn around, and then take that loop through the first loop. Go counterclockwise around the back, take that loop through the next loop. And then you're just going to keep chaining, so keep track of your number. And we're going to go up to 6 inches. So chain a little bit, measure it. So that looks good to me. 23 chains is what gets me my 6 inches for the newborn size. So if you crochet tighter or looser than me, your chains might be different. As long as you get to that measurement, it's going to fit that size. Now, after you get to that measurement, you're going to add 1 more chain. So you measure with your true size first, and then you're going to add 1 chain for turning. So now I'm going to have 24 chains. Just like that. And we don't need our measuring tape for right now. Okay, so whatever the original number was for your chains, so mine was 23, that is the amount of stitches that you're going to have. So whatever your number is without that extra 1, so for me that's 23, you're going to subtract 6. For all sizes, you're going to subtract 6. So 23 minus 6 is 17. So we're going to have 17 half double crochets. And our last 6 chains is going to be single crochets. So let's jump right in and do our half double crochets. So you don't count what's on your hook. That's your first chain, that is your second chain. You're going to go into that and do your half double crochet. So you go in front of the yarn, wrap the yarn around first, then go into the chain. So I just go under the top loop, then you're going to go around the back, take that loop through just the first loop, and you have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to wrap the yarn and take that loop through all 3 of these loops. That's how you do a half double crochet. Now you're going to go into the next chain and do the exact same thing. So wrap the yarn around first, go into that chain, wrap the yarn around, pull through just the first loop, 3 loops on your hook, wrap the yarn around, pull through all 3 of these loops. And that's 2 stitches, so I need 15 more half double crochets. So I'm just going to continue to do this all the way till I have 17 total half double crochets for my pattern. And in my last 6 chains, we're going to do 1 single crochet. So go into the chain first, go around the back, take that loop just through the first loop. Now you just have 2 loops on your hook, wrap the yarn around and go through both of them. And you're going to do that in all of these 6 chains. So go in the chain first, go around, pull up a loop, you have 2 loops, wrap the yarn around, pull through both of them. Go in the next chain, go around the back, pull up a loop, wrap the yarn around, pull through 2. And 1 more. So just like that. Now you're going to chain 1 and turn, and you're going to be working in the back loops. So if you look at it from the top, you're going to see front loops and you're going to see back loops. We're going to go only into the back loops. So you're going to go in the middle and underneath the loop and out the back. So this is our chain, so we're not going in this one. You're going to start right here in that first stitch right here, go in the middle and out the back of just the back loop. Go around the back, pull up a loop, wrap the yarn around, pull through 2. See how you're in the back loop? Now you're going to go into the next back loop. Go in the middle, out the back. Grab your yarn, pull up a loop, wrap the yarn around, pull through 2. That's 2 single crochets, so I need 4 more. In the middle, out the back. 3. 4. 5. And 6. So if you're using a stitch marker, you're going to mark this single crochet, your 6th single crochet, those top loops of your 6th single crochet. Okay, so now we're going to do our half double crochets in the back loop only, all the way down. So wrap the yarn around first and then go into the back loop and do your half double crochet. So for row 3, we are going to chain 1, and turn. And now we're going to be working in the front loops. So if you look at it from the top, remember how we were working in the back loops? Now we're going to do the front loops. And don't get it mistaken that these are front loops. Look at it from the top. And that's your chain right here, so that's not your first front loop. This is your first front loop. And we're doing half double crochets. So wrap the yarn around first, go underneath, and then out the middle. Like that. And then do your half double crochet. So wrap the yarn around, pull up a loop, wrap the yarn around, pull through all 3. And then do a half double crochet in the next one. So look at it from the top, go underneath that front loop. So you're going out in the middle, wrap the yarn around, pull up a loop, wrap the yarn around, pull through all 3, wrap the yarn around, go out the middle. And if you didn't use a stitch marker, then keep count and do that half double crochet number. If you used your stitch marker, you're going to go all the way up to the stitch marker. So don't do your half double crochet in this stitch. Stop right before it. Do your half double crochets. Okay, so I am at my stitch marker, so I'm going to take it out. And now we're going to do our single crochets in the front loops only. So you just go underneath the loop first and do your single crochet. So go underneath, out the middle, grab the yarn, so now we're going to repeat row 2. So chain 1 and turn, and we are going to be doing the back loops only again. So not this chain, that's your turning chain. This is your first back loop, and this is single crochet, so we're still doing single crochets. So go inside the middle and underneath the back loop and do your single crochet. And then do that in the next 5 stitches, in the middle, out the back. In the middle, out the back. Now after your 6th single crochet, this is where you mark it. So just underneath those top 2 loops. So now you can do your half double crochets in the back loop only. So wrap the yarn around, go in the middle, and out the back, do your half double crochet. And then just do this all the way down. So now we are going to chain 1 and turn. And we are going to be repeating row 3 where we worked into the front loop only. So you're just alternating row 2 and row 3. So a back loop only row and a front loop only row. So this is half double crochets. So we're going to do a half double crochet in this front loop. That is your chain. So this is your first stitch. It's your first front loop. So wrap the yarn around first. Go from the outside into the middle. And then do your half double crochet. And then wrap the yarn around the outside into the middle. Do your half double crochet. And then you're going to repeat that half double crochet in the front loop only till you get to your stitch marker. Okay, I am to my stitch marker, so I'm going to take it out. And now I'm going to do my single crochets in the front loop only. So you just go into the middle and do single crochet. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and you're going to repeat row 2 where you worked into the back loop only. And we were working single crochets, so we are going to continue single crochets. This is your first back loop, and do single crochet. So 1, 2, and 6, just like that. And then you're going to do your half double crochets in the back loop only. So wrap the yarn around, go into the next stitch in the back loop, and then do your half double crochet. What is that? Is that my hair? Okay, so continue. Half double crochet in the back loop only. Okay, I'm at the end. Now we're going to chain 1 and turn, and then we're going to repeat row 3 where we worked into the front loop only. This is your first front loop because that's just your chain. Do a half double crochet out the middle, and then just continue doing your front loop only all the way down. When you have your stitch marker, do your 6 single crochets in the front loop only. So we are repeating row 2 and row 3 over and over and over. So we need the hat circumference for the amount of rows that we need to do. So whatever size that you're going with, this is the measurement. So go up to that measurement. Do not stretch on your work. Just lay your work down and measure it true to this number. If you would like it to be a little bit bigger so that they can wear it longer, that's totally fine. So 13 inches is what I need for the newborn size. And regardless what size you're doing, end on an even number of rows. So have fun crocheting your size beanie, whatever you go with, and I will see you in a second. So I completed 30 rows to get to my 13 inches. So you're going to measure the half double crochet side, not the single crochet side, because it's more narrow. It's probably a little bit short, but if I add another row, it's going to be 31 rows, and I don't want an odd number, and this will stretch. So I'm not too worried. It's pretty darn close to 13. So just kind of play with the measurement and then the amount of rows to make sure it's an even number and close enough to your measurement. So now we are going to seam up our beanie. You're not going to cut your yarn for right now. You're going to chain 1. You're going to fold your pieces together and then face it like this. So now you're going to be working in the front loops. So that is that first chain. You're not going to count it. This is your first stitch. Do your front loop just like you would be doing to do a stitch. And then you're going to go over underneath these 2 loops right here. That is your first stitch on the other side. And then we're going to do a slip stitch seam. So wrap the yarn around, pull through all of those loops, and then pull that loop through the next. And you're going to do this with every single stitch. So whatever amount of stitches that you had, this is the amount of slip stitches that you're going to have, as long as you go into every single stitch. So do the front loop of the next stitch, go over, and so I'm in that stitch right here, so I need to go over to these. And you're under like 2 crisscrossed type loops. That's the 2 available loops on your beginning starting chain. And then grab the yarn, pull through, and then pull through the next. And then look at it from the top. Go under your next front loop. So this is where you're going under. And even if you can't get the hang of exactly what loops you're going under, as long as you're consistent, like even if you went under one, like all of these just top loops, that's totally fine. Next front loop. And then you're just going to go all the way down. So even your single crochets, you're going to go under your front loops. And then all of these chains over here are going to look the same, even with your single crochets. So just continue this all the way down. So that's what your seam looks like. Now this is going to be on the inside of your beanie, but that's just what it looks like. So now you're going to pull on your yarn because you're going to use your darning needle next to weave up the top. So give yourself for sure this much amount of yarn and maybe a little bit more. You can always have extra. Just cut your yarn, pull through. Now you can weave this beginning tail in first to get it out the way. I'll do that right now. So I'm just going to go up our slip stitch seam. And this is going to be on the inside of the beanie, so no one's going to see it. Okay, now you can either leave this where the inside is facing out and seam up the top of the hat. I like flipping the pretty side on the outside to seam up the top. And you're gonna skip like every other row. So I kind of go for this stitch. So like there's one, there's one, there's one. It's kind of like every other row, you're gonna skip a row. So the yarn is on the inside. So I'm gonna go to this one right here from the outside in and then pull your yarn, and then you're going to go up and over. This is the next one, outside in, outside in, outside in. That's all you're going to do all the way around. And then you can pull every once in a while. So it's not so much that you're pulling at the very end, because sometimes it doesn't want to pull too well the farther away you get. And I'm all the way at the beginning, so I'm going to put my needle in the beginning, and then you just pull it shut. So pull really tight, and then just take your needle, go down in the center so that you can weave in this tail, but on the inside so that you don't see it. So just go under some stitches so that you can lock that top in place. Just go back and forth in all directions, space it out. You don't want it to be too bulky and stiff going under the same stitches over and over and over. Okay, so before I go, I'm going to measure these beanies with the final measurement. So the hat circumference will be 13. So folded, it should be 6.5 inches. And it pretty much is. Beautiful. And then the height, I went below the ear. It was 6 inches before cinching it up, so it might be 5 inches. So let's see if it went back down to 5. And I mean, it pretty much is as well. And the teen small adult size it should be 19 inches. So that's 9.5 if this is folded. So let's see, 9.5, pretty much 9.5 inches. And I would have added 1 more inch to that. So it was originally 9 inches tall. So it should be about 8 inches tall after it is cinched up. So not including that pom-pom. Whoop. The other way. Yep, it's kind of about 8 inches. So that is why we add that extra inch. All right, guys, so I remembered that the pom-pom video had the exact same yarn that I used to make this beanie, so I just stole one of my pom-poms. So put one of the tails on your needle and on the outside of your beanie, just go down the middle and pull all the way. Take it off of your needle, attach the other one to your needle that's on the outside still, and then go back down into the middle of your beanie. Pull that through. Take your needle off. And all you're going to do is double or triple knot this. You don't even have to weave in these ends. If you want to, you can. This is just simpler to me. Just make sure it's really secure. So you can just cut off that yarn since you tied it. And now you're completely done with your beanies. Hopefully you love this pattern and it was really easy to follow. Don't forget to like and comment and subscribe and all those good things. Tag me on Facebook or Instagram when you make these, and have fun crocheting your beanies. Bye, crochet friends.